welcome everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar with Uli Iserloh and Fullscript. My name's Kaylee, I'm with Fullscript, and we're very excited to have Uli here today to discuss new strategies that can help attract patients to your practice and grow your impact, influence, and income. A little housekeeping before we kind of jump into it. I just wanted to remind everyone that this webinar will be sent to everyone who registered after the event, so you can go back and watch it. It'll also live on our Fullscript website at fullscript.com/webinars, so you can watch it there as well. And throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, please add them to the questions section on your dashboard there, and we'll try to get to them maybe during the webinar bit, but definitely at the end during the Q&A session. So I'd like to thank Uli for being here today. He is one of the leading marketing minds in the integrative and functional medicine space. He's the founder of Big Boost Marketing, which is an award-winning digital marketing agency serving many of today's functional medicine leaders. It also aims to help health and wellness practitioners attract, nurture, and convert more prospects into clients. And Uli specializes in building automated marketing systems that position health practitioners as the go-to experts in their community. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Uli and disappear for a bit, and then we'll listen to a presentation and get to a Q&A at the end. Okay,
well, thanks, Kaylee, and thanks to Fullscript for hosting me here. I'm super excited, to give this presentation on how to maximize digital in the era of the global pandemic. And specifically, we're going to talk about how to load your practice predictably with an automated nurture system. And I know from being in the industry for many years that for most practitioners, marketing is somewhat of a source of overwhelm. So my goal for this masterclass today is to provide clarity on the elements you need to unleash a steady stream of new patients into your practice. And if you think about it, this is exactly how probably many of your new patients feel: overwhelmed, frazzled, unsure about the next steps. And you, as a clinician, know that if they only knew why they are stuck or why they can't move forward, then all their anxiety and overwhelm would dissipate. And so it's my hope that for you to get the most out of this masterclass, I would like you to stop focusing on the how does this work, how do I implement it, and instead focus on the why. Why does it work? Why does it make sense? And focus on the who. Who could help me build this? Who on my team could help execute this for me? And so ultimately, our mission at Big Boost, as Kaylee said, is to serve integrative, naturopathic, and functional medicine practitioners like you to become the go-to expert in your community so that you can get to help more patients that really need your services. And so, as I said, to get the most out of this, let me just make sure we have the screen on. Yeah. Turn off all the distractions, approach the material with an open mind, and focus really on the underlying concept to see what is it that your practice may have been missing all along when it comes to marketing integrative, functional, and naturopathic medicine. And as Kaylee said, we're going to make a replay available to everyone that's registered. But if you also want to get a more detailed case study and now go to bigboost.marketing/CS. You can also text your email address to 646-762-5026. And then you get some additional goodies from our team. And so don't wait till the end to post your comments and questions in the question box. We want to make sure we have a very robust discussion. And so to start out with, I really want to start with the 3 problems that are faced when marketing functional medicine. And the first one is low market awareness regarding integrative and functional medicine. Now, this is not something new to you, but what I want you to appreciate is that, unlike dentists, chiropractic, med spa, Botox, where search-based marketing is effective, in our case, it's not. If people don't look for integrative or functional medicine, then it's very irrelevant what happens on SEO, on pay-per-click ads, or on directory listings. And so unlike dentists and chiropractors, etc., single point advertising is also insufficient to encourage the necessary paradigm shift. So, there's a couple things that are very different when it comes to marketing integrative and functional medicine. And I want you to appreciate this so that you can understand where you need to focus your attention and to go from there. The second part is really the value proposition is really driven by outcomes rather than procedures. So again, it's your practitioner expertise and the branded protocols that really drive the value perception of your target audience. And obviously, it's patient empowerment and compliance that driving behavior change. And I want to sort of like juxtapose this again to the conventional medical peers. If you think about a dentist, the value proposition is really driven by what happens when you're in the office, right? You get a procedure done, and when you walk out of the office, you have received the value that you paid for. And that's very different with functional and integrative medicine, where the value is really just manifesting itself over a much longer time. It's much more based on what's in your head, your insights, your clinical pearls, rather than the actual procedures in the office. And then finally, the third problem is that there's a much higher barrier to initiate care. So usually packages are 3 to 6 months at a much higher cost, and a lot of it is not covered by insurance. So again, you can see why relative to conventional medical practices like dentistry, acupuncture, massage, med spa, you're at a disadvantage here because you have to do a lot more heavy lifting up front for people to say yes to you. And so now the antidote to this is really, here's the key insights that I want you to appreciate, and that is that you have to build local market awareness with paid Facebook video ads. It's education-based marketing directly on the platform. So you can run ads on SEO, on search engines, on Google. You can try to SEO optimize. The key is really that when people don't look for you, you have to go where the people are, and that is social media. And so education-based marketing needs to happen there, that it's not about pitching an ad for a discounted first a visit. It's really about helping people appreciate that they're stuck with a problem and that you're there to help them. And again, Facebook videos allow for proper messaging in ways text ads won't. I'll get into this a little bit later, but you probably know that if you've ever tried to run Facebook ads, you know how difficult it is to get Facebook ads approved. Facebook says, oh, you can't say this. Nope, you can't say this. And it takes you forever to get Facebook text ads approved. Whereas Facebook video ads, you can say at this time, whatever you want to say. And so this is why Facebook video ads are so powerful. And so the realization, what I really want you to appreciate is that you have to go beyond just posting organically on Facebook, Instagram, maybe you're posting on Pinterest or Twitter, but organic posting is not enough to get enough frequency, to get enough exposure to your audience that they actually understand that you exist and how you can help them. The next part really, to overcome this issue of the price point is really that you have to demonstrate expertise with an automated nurture system. So, I talked about these videos, on Facebook, but you want to have a video series delivered via email to consistently nurture prospects. They need a lot of touch points to go from no, not right now, to heck yes. And so you can't manually deliver this. So this is why you have to have a patient attraction system, something that's automated, that helps people see you over and over again and ultimately decide that you're the one for them. And we recommend bite-sized content to build trust. That is something that should happen before maybe a webinar. If you have a webinar, obviously before COVID, it was in-person workshops. And you want to have something what we call a practice introduction video. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then finally, you have to have consistent and relevant messaging. You want to consistently message across social media, across your website, the nurture email sequence, the webinar, the discovery call. It's not like you're saying different things at different touch points. You're just repeating your core message so that people understand how you're different. And in this realm, we really focus on the Socratic method to encourage critical thinking. And again, I'll explain in a moment what I mean by that. But that is really the key to get people to interact with you. Now, I want to, open this up, and I want to post this question for you, because most practitioners have not really consciously thought about it. But what does it take to get a prospect to switch providers? What does it make somebody that's currently with a family practitioner decide, okay, I want to partner with you in your practice? What does it need to happen for that prospects for this to happen? And again, this is very important. I want you to write this down, and I want you to think about it, because unless you have clarity on this, your marketing will always feel off tune, off key, just because you're not really connecting with people. And to sort of really drive this home, I want to, post this other question to you. Let's assume I want to sell you on my new diet. How would you do it? And for most people, when you say, hey, I have a new diet, they will say, wow, I've tried so many diets. Diets don't work. Diets are not for long-term, weight loss. This is not working. And so I would agree with you. This is, what most people think immediately. And so this is the reason why you can't just go straight to tell them about your diet, because they will think to themselves, why should this time be different, right? I've tried so many different diets. I'm just doing more of the same. Why would the results be any different? So they're really skeptical, and you can't move towards pitching your services and your practice before you have explained to them why the previous effort have failed, right? Only if they understand why they have been stuck so far and what it was that kept them stuck, they will not move forward with you. And so if you're thinking about your marketing approach, what I want you to appreciate is answer this first, overcome the objection here. Why am I stuck? And, what needs to happen to get unstuck? And so your audience must realize that there is a reason why they are still sick or haven't achieved root cause resolution. They might have gone about their chronic wellness issues the wrong way through no fault of their own. It could be that Dr. Oz, Dr. Google, maybe their provider, maybe their spouse, their friends have told them the wrong information, and all they know is what they've been told so far, and they just don't know any other way. And so from their vantage point, they have tried everything and it doesn't work. And so they have to appreciate that their current provider might not be the right fit any longer, and that they should maybe add your services on top of what they're doing with their family practitioner, to get maybe that disease resolution that has been so elusive so far. They also have to understand that there are alternatives to what they have tried. That it's not true that they have tried everything. There's certainly things that they haven't tried, as you're probably aware. And so you have to present that to them to open up their eyes that, hey, I maybe have not tried everything, and maybe I need to take a different approach to address this chronic health issues in a different way. And ultimately, obviously, you want them to appreciate that there is a compelling reason why your approach is better able to get them the desired results. And that's really fact-based. This is not something that you have to make up. You can say, hey, my approach using integrative naturopathic and functional medicine is really geared towards chronic disease, and it's entirely different from what the acute care paradigm tries to accomplish. And again, remember, your audience has no idea what probably functional and integrative medicine is. So to them, this will be a very foreign concept, and you have to first explain that before you can move on to pitch your services. So let me know if that makes sense. And again, we talked about what is it that you have to communicate. One of the things that I find is so elusive for so many integrative and functional and naturopathic practitioners is like, what is it that I have to say on social media? I have no idea. And to me, it's actually no surprise, because nobody is teaching this. Nobody is telling practitioners what to say on social media, what's too much, what's not enough, and how to think about it. So if you take anything away from this special masterclass, I want you to take a screenshot of this slide with our 4-part messaging framework. And this is a framework that works for everything. That works for social media, works for your videos, works for your Facebook Lives, works for your website. It's a universal framework. And truth be told, I didn't invent this. This is what's called the Socratic method. to encourage critical thinking, and we always start out with a quick hook. So we want to create intrigue for them to consume the rest of the content. So if it is a video, we want to start out obviously with the first and second sentence to create enough curiosity that they watch the rest of the video. If we're talking about the social media post, it's about the first or second sentence to get them to read the rest of the post, right? So you always have to start with this introduction, with this hook, where we go heavy on empathy. You want to show them that you understand them. And then we're moving into the conventional wisdom. You describe what the commonly held view is and how conventional medicine approaches the problem. And again, from your vantage point as an integrative naturopathic or functional medicine provider, there's probably certain issues when you take an acute care paradigm and apply it to a chronic disease situation. And so you want to really explain to them, if you go back to the diet, analogy that I talked about, if somebody thinks it's calories in versus calories out, it's like eating less and exercising more, you can tell them, look, listen, this is not going to work because your body's metabolism is designed to prevent that situation. And so unless you actually give your body time to reset the metabolic hormones, dial down chronic inflammation, the body is not going to take the foot of the brake. And so it's not going to release the weight, right? So this is the integrative or functional medicine wisdom that you describe what it is that they're missing from your perspective. And again, this does not have to be antagonizing conventional wisdom or conventional medicine. It's really pointing out the difference of opinion and how you have to think about it. And so a lot of practitioners that are functional generalists, they practice maybe family medicine but with a functional medicine lens. What I want you to convey here is really that it's a different way to looking at chronic disease, and that you can't use the tools of acute care to get rid of diabetes, autoimmunity, gut issues, etc. Right? And then finally, we want to end each content piece with next steps and call to action. You want to engage them in comments, but what I want you to not do is essentially give band-aid solutions. Because if you give them band-aid solutions like eat more kale or eat this and don't eat that for autoimmunity, you're essentially giving them an easy way out. They're trying to do the solution that you suggested, but they're not doing the whole arsenal of what functional medicine has to offer. And so then they will invariably fail, and they will blame you for failing them because your approach, eat more kale, is not working. And so next steps, call to action should always be moving them towards a discovery call, moving them towards a lead magnet to opt in, moving them towards a masterclass or webinar, so you can explain to them in more detail what's needed to get healthy. And so that part is really key to everything that I'm going to talk about in the rest of this presentation. So the key takeaways here is, if you're keeping score, you need to be seen as different, as a compelling alternative. I always say you can't blend into the medical establishment, because if you're perceived as one of the same, what your audience have already tried, they're not going to choose you, because they're saying, hey, I've already been to 5 doctors that couldn't help me. Why would the 6th one be any different? I'm not going to take any action, right? So it's critical that you position yourself as different from what your audience have tried before, because otherwise there's no incentive to move forward with you. And you also need to pre-educate your prospects before you engage with them one-on-one. Functional medicine, integrative medicine is still new. It's certainly there's certainly more awareness now than there was 5 years ago, but still, by and large, the broad public does not understand what it is that you do, how your approach can help them overcome chronic wellness challenges. And so you need to really consistently pre-educate your prospects. And you can't do this in a discovery call. You can't do this in the first paid appointment. You have to really do this beforehand, and you have to do this through automation. You can't do this manually to deliver these 20 to 30 to 40 touch points before somebody goes from a no, not right now, to a heck yes. And so, ultimately, from working with hundreds of practitioners over the last 6-7 years, my observation is that most practitioners don't provide enough nurture. They have a website that is focused directly on getting people in a discovery call. It's focused directly on their services, on their credentials. And this is very salesy. You're trying to push people to make a decision before people even understand what it is that you do. And so what I want you to do is, like, if we're talking in the analogy of dating, don't go for a one-night stand, but instead start dating your prospects using marketing automation. And I'm going to show you exactly with practitioner examples what that could look like. So typically, and that may be you, their marketing funnel looks like this. They're doing a little bit on social media, but they're not really sure what to do on social media. So they're just posting motivational quotes or invites for a discovery call or something of that nature. They may have a website that is very practitioner centric. So it talks about them, your services, the features, the pricing, the process, but it's not really meeting prospects where they're at. And they're right now, they don't even know what functional medicine is. So again, we're sort of like too pushy. And then there's a discovery call, and oftentimes practitioners wonder, why are these prospects not signing up for care? Why is it so hard to get prospects initiated, overcome their objection? And you can't leave it to the discovery call to educate them and nurture them. That has to happen before. Also, other people use paid Facebook ads, and they drive people directly to a webinar. And in that webinar, they're presenting content for an hour, and then they pitch the discovery call. And there's nothing wrong with this other than to say that, again, you're running an ad to a cold audience that doesn't know who you are, that has not heard about anything about you, and you're trying to make them decide on the very first commitment, high commitment, a webinar. They have to sort of part with 60 minutes of your time. And so most people say, nah, I don't know this person. I'm not going to sign up for this webinar. And so this is why this approach is fraught with problems as well. And what we suggest is really what we call this patient attraction system, that you have all these gears in play. And yes, this is not something you build in a single day, but it is something that you want to build towards. And just like with functional medicine, it's not enough to just focus on one gear. You can't get a patient healthy by just focusing on nutrition, or just focusing on detox, or just focusing on movement, or just focusing on mindset, right? It is the synergistic interplay of all these gears that ultimately get a patient healthier. And the same is true with your marketing. It's the synergistic interplay with all these gears that ultimately allows you to attract, nurture, and convert more prospects into paying patients with ease on autopilot. And so underlying here is really the educational content marketing driven by marketing automation. So when people come into the discovery call and they sign up, that is the first time where you personally interact with this, or maybe your office manager or your patient coordinator, but there's a lot of education that already has happened before they even meet with you. And if that happens, people are excited to partner with you. They're already predetermined to partner with you on the health resolution because they know you're the one. And that makes these discovery calls so efficient that it's now not only 1 or 2 out of 10 that enroll into becoming a client, but 8, 9, 10 out of 10 become a client, because only the people that are a good fit for you are actually showing up on your discovery call. And so as you musing about this, write down which ones are you missing. Is it better organic social media? Is it Facebook ads? Is it a better website? Maybe it's this video lead magnet. LM stands for lead magnet. That's the video nurture sequence. Maybe it's a webinar or a presentation that educates people before they get into your practice. So write down what are the gears that are missing for you. And then again, what I want to mention here is that yes, this can be overwhelming, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you want our help on deciding, how to go from here, which gear do I need to work on next? We can help you, whether you don't have any of the gears in place or you have some of the gears in place and you just need to fill in the ones that you don't have. Simply go to bigboost.marketing/CS to apply for a free strategy session. We review what you have going on your website. We can talk about your social media, and that is absolutely free. There's no obligation, but it's our mission to help practitioners like you make sense of this process and understand how they have to go about implementing this. Now, you may be asking, what is this practice introduction video business about? And the idea is really that whenever somebody signs up in your discovery call scheduler, this may be schedule once, it may be Calendly, it may be Acuity scheduling, maybe it's built into your EMR, such as Practice Better or Servo. However they get on your calendar, what you want to do in the confirmation email and the reminder emails ahead of the session is that you send them a video. You say, hey, please watch this short 20-minute video to learn more about functional medicine before we meet. And so then this video contains everything that you keep repeating in each and every one of your discovery calls, so you can save that time. And people can watch it at their own convenience. They can watch it beforehand. They can watch it with their spouse. And again, this is perfect to overcome a lot of the objections that your prospects may have once they are on the discovery call. And so in this practice introduction video, the typical flow is that you talk about your health philosophy. What is it? How does your practice approach chronic disease? What's your goal with partnering with your prospects, your promise, the outcome that are typical, maybe feature some of the testimonials, then talk about your specific process so that people have a virtual test drive of what it means partnering with you. What happens over the discovery call? What happens in the first paid appointment? What happens over the first month? The first 3 months, etc. And then you want to talk about the consideration and who's the right fit. Who's the right fit, who's not a right fit, so that people that watch this video can decide before they get on a discovery call if they are a right fit at this time. And again, in this video, you can help the people that are not a good fit with additional things that they can do before they become a client. And so to just summarize this first part before I go into the next section is you can't just be a great clinician, a great healer. You also have to be known as one. And so this is where practice marketing is critical, because if nobody in your community knows you exist, if nobody understands what integrative functional naturopathic medicine is, they're not going to become your patients. And so if you're wondering why your practice is maybe not firing on all cylinders, it's because of this, that there's insufficient nurture, insufficient awareness in your community about you and how you can help people. Does this make sense? So for me, I got into this business with a PhD in chemistry. I worked for 10 years in Alzheimer's research in big pharma, and part of being a chemist is that you have to practice your craft. You have to be a great, in my case, be a great scientist and invent new things. But the second thing is that you have to be an educator. You have to talk about your invention. You have to talk about what it is that you found out, right? So that the world can actually benefit from your insights. And so, imagine Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb and never telling the world about it, right? And so the same is true for you as a practitioner, and why I feel such a kinship with you, because as a doctor, the Latin root of the word is docere. You're an educator at heart. And so your role description is really a healer plus an educator. So marketing your practice should come natural to you. It's part of your DNA as an educator. And so that's what educational marketing is all about. Now, for me, I moved on from being behind in a lab to actually helping functional medicine docs with their marketing. So I've been featured in many podcasts. I've spoken at many conferences, and this is what I'm really passionate about, because I realized that functional and integrative medicine is really the key to helping America and the world overcome chronic disease. It's not a pharmaceutical pill, one pill for every ill that's going to fix this. And so this is why it's my mission and our team's mission at Big Boost to support practitioners like you in becoming better known in your community so that more people get access to your care. And so let's take a quick look through what this looks like in practice, so you can see what we're recommending, what practitioners do on social media, on their website, etc. And I want you to take notes so that you can ask better questions at the end about how to implement it. So let me switch here briefly to my browser. Right, here we are. And so the example I want to use here is one of our clients, Dr. Tara Scott. She is a functional medicine MD based in Akron, Ohio, and she focuses on thyroid hormones, fatigue, and weight gain. And she's a national speaker on hormones. And so when you go through her Instagram profile, you can see very quickly from what we call quote cards what her focus is, right? So she's not just posting images, but it's a lot of images with text on it. And so that helps your audience very quickly key in what you can help them with. So you can see here which hormone has one of the biggest effects on sleep, menopause, PCOS. We're talking about progesterone, PCOS. We talk about hormone replacement therapy, estrogen dominance. We talk about clean eating, thyroid health. So very simple, to understand what she's the expert in there, right? So if you're somebody that's struggling with hormones, you will probably say, ooh, this person looks like the kind of expert I should be following along because of the density of what she's talking about. Everything is related to hormones. So, Tara talks about nutrition and mindset and about all these other things, but when people first come to your profile with the images, you need to be very obvious in what you talk about, so you make it very easy for prospects to follow you. And obviously, she's using the same content on other profiles. So, I'm not going to go through her Facebook profile, but you can see that she's reposting whatever is on Instagram also to Facebook and her other platforms. The other thing that I want to point out, I talked about this 4-part messaging framework, which was empathy hook, conventional approach, integrative approach, and then call to action, right? So if you look at Tara's post, you can see at the end of each of these posts, she has a call to action. So in this case, it's about setting up a discovery call. So she has the link in the bio and the phone number. So she makes it very easy at the end of a post to get in touch with her. Another call to action here, it could be that she says she has an on-demand course, Revitalize Your Hormones. So she encourages people to check out the course. So again, now they're clicking from her bio over to her course. Yet another call to action here is, when we're looking here, is engaging in comments, right? Does it sound like you? Let me know yes or no in the comments below. So that's a call to action too, to get a conversation started. And then the last two I want to mention here is obviously one for a webinar. So you can see here she is pushing people to her free webinar on the topic of um, overcoming hormonal imbalances. And then the other one is sending people to a lead magnet. And so again, if you're not following Dr. Tara Scott at Revitalize Med, I highly encourage you to, and just study what she's doing in her Instagram feed to learn what you may be doing for your practice. And so then obviously when people come from social media to Tara's website, she has her lead magnets very prominently featured. So here's a lead magnet about perimenopause symptoms, and she has her webinar here. So again, whenever people come to her website, she wants people to download the lead magnet so that they get on that email sequence, or join the webinar so that they get the information there. And then obviously very important too to feature your lead magnets wherever you can in the main navigation. A lot of practitioners miss out on this by not putting their lead magnets up in the area. So you can see here another website, Start Here. You want to show people free 10-part video series, free guides, free webinar. And so you'd be surprised how many practitioners or how many consumers are actually browsing through a website just from the main navigation. So make sure that your lead magnets are there. And obviously the next thing part here is that you allow practitioners to sign up for your lead magnet. So you go to a landing page. And again, this is a page that's referenced from social media. So people can download the lead magnet. She gets the name and email. And then on the next page is the thank you page where she welcomes consumers into her practice. And this is the first time that she, people are on her mailing list now, and now she tells people what they need to know about her practice. And 100% of consumers will see this video on this page. And so whatever you have to say, make sure you have a thank you video and you explain this, because if you're relying on people just opening your emails, only 20% of people are opening your emails. So you lose 80% of the eyeballs that opted in. So this is why having a thank you page is critical. And again, you want to make it very easy for people to schedule a free discovery call and join your Facebook group if you have it from your thank you page. So you make it very easy that people can get nurtured. And again, the same thing is true for the webinar. So obviously here's the webinar registration page. You again collect first name and email, and then people get to watch the webinar. And I call this the instant webinar because there's no time lag between people registering for the webinar and then on the next page starting to watch the webinar. Now, a lot of people use fancy tools like Easy Webinar, where there's a just-in-time webinar that starts every 30 minutes. Maybe you're doing a live webinar that happens, 5 days from now. The problem with those two approaches is really that because of the delay, your show up rate is probably below 15%, and you're losing essentially 80 to 85% of your audience. And so this is why an instant webinar is really critical. Again, here's other examples from another one of our clients. You can see that the lead magnets are very prominently featured. If you're going to the actual blog post, if somebody comes from Google to this blog post about kefir, what do we know about this person? Well, if they want to know about kefir, then they're thinking about prebiotics and probiotics. So we should probably feature our gut lead magnet next to it, right? And so you want to, show your lead magnets, your webinars right next to it. And then when they're coming to the end of the webinar or the blog post, again, you want to give them another way to get on your lead magnet to take the next steps. Does that make sense? And then here, just a quick example for a webinar. So here, this one is about digestive distress. And again, immediately a replay so that people can get to watch your webinar and can consume it. Obviously, they're getting an email to, go back to this page if they're busy right now. But that's really the process. Now, I talked about Facebook video ads, so I want to walk you through yet another example from one of our clients, Tina Christudias Peru. She's based in Cyprus, and she talks in her video series about thyroid issues. And so in this one, it's about 3 major obstacles to weight loss. So people can now see this on Facebook. They get value in advance, and only at the end of the video, we're asking people, hey, if you want to go deeper on the obstacles to weight loss, sign up for my free video series. And so then people can click through after watching this video to get to a landing page where they can opt in for your video series. And then again, just as before, we have a thank you page where we're welcoming prospects to your tribe. And again, you want to tell them, hey, the first video is on its way to your inbox, but while you wait, let me tell you a little bit about the practice and the kind of women that I work with, right? And so as part of this video, she's then also pitching her private Facebook group. So from this video series, she is now filling her Facebook group, and that's yet another way to nurture prospects. But she also allows people to schedule a free discovery call. So we want to make it very easy for people to get on your calendar. And if people have seen enough at this point to get on your calendar, we're going to allow them to do this and schedule. Now, if they don't do anything, then they're getting now a series of emails, 1 email a day for the next 10 days, and they get presented with the individual videos. And these individual videos then, if they click on the thumbnail, take them back to your website where they can watch the video. And again, now that they're on your mailing list, the call to action at these videos is not sign up for my video series, but now we're saying, hey, sign up for a discovery call, or maybe, watch my masterclass, watch my webinar. And so again, people can nurture themselves on their own pace, going from social media to your landing page, to your welcome page, into your email autoresponder to get your video series. And again, we allow people to schedule a free discovery call from each day. They can join your private Facebook group, and then we're providing all the different videos again. So if somebody missed day 1 or 2, but they see your email on day 5, they can binge watch day 1 and 2. And again, we're giving people a glimpse ahead what's in store for them, so that people make a mental note, oh, I have to come back for day 10 to learn what diet I should follow to lose weight. And so again, this is really the process that's in play that nurtures people along to the point where they know, like, and trust you enough to be comfortable enough to schedule a discovery call with you. And they've, at that point, pretty much decided that they want to work with you. So let me go back to my slide deck and just sort of bring this fully home for you. So let's go full screen here. So just for those of you that are more visually oriented, what we're really talking about is a system where you may have a discovery call scheduler in place. And when people schedule the discovery call with you, they get in their confirmation email a practice introduction video where you explain to them how your practice works. That is actually the first time that you get to talk about your practice, about your policies, whether health insurance is accepted, what your policy on lab tests and supplements is. And that is really, people have decided that they want to engage with you one-on-one. That's when you finally give them all the details. What's preceding that is a webinar and the replay, the instant webinar that I talked about. And then we have the video lead magnet. That is the 10-part video sequence with a call to action to schedule a discovery call or watch the webinar. And then you can reformat these video lead magnets into videos for social media, as I showed you for Tina. You can run them in organic social media, so you can post them, let's say, every 3 days, and then organically push people into your video series, or you can put some money behind it and then run them in a paid social aspect. And so that is really the key to nurture people before they come to your discovery call. That's how people are pre-educated and ready to work with you. Just to give you some stats for those of you that want to know the numbers. So I talked about video ads on Facebook. So here's a couple of examples. And here is the stats from yet another client of ours. The person spent $300 a month. So that's $10 a day spent on Facebook ads. And what that translated to is 15,000 through plays. That means 15,000 people have watched 15 seconds or more of your videos. And just imagine what it would mean if 15,000 people in your zip code would be watching your videos. Don't you think you would get known in your community as the go-to expert on the topic of your series? So from that, we got 1,441 clicks to the website. So again, $300 spent, 1,441 clicks to the website, and then a certain percentage of those opt in. I forget the exact numbers for this client. It's somewhere between 10 and 20%. So we're talking about 150 to 300 people that are now on your mailing list. And then from there, it doesn't stop there, because you only pay for the people that watch more than 15 seconds. But there were another 140,000 people that saw your video ads but didn't watch it more than 15 seconds. And you don't pay anything for those people. So this is tying into what's called the mere exposure effect. So the more often you see something, the more of a preference you develop it. So we don't even need people to watch your videos in order to understand that you are the expert on gut health, that you are the expert on hormones or autoimmune disease or cognitive decline. Just by them seeing your videos over and over again with that headline that I showed you is enough for people to for you to get top of mind. All right, so that's what this patient attraction system looks like, and ultimately it comes down to having all these gears in place for a smooth journey to attract people into your tribe based on what you post on social media and have paid Facebook ads. Then what happens on your website and the video series that people can sign up on your website. Then there comes the webinar that takes people even deeper into the concepts of the lead magnet and what's on the website. And then ultimately gets them to schedule a discovery call. And just before they get on a discovery call, you get them the practice orientation video so that they understand the specifics, the logistics of working with you. And so that's the reason why a practice attraction system is so beneficial for docs. It leads to better patient empowerment, better compliance, and all the objections are preemptively addressed. It also is a predictable way to bring people into your tribe, so you can move beyond organic social. You can get off the social media hamster wheel, and you have a set it and forget it system to nurture people, to enroll them into your discovery calls, and ultimately have them become patients. And again, it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the discovery call. You can push people into a discovery call. You could push people into a sales page for an online course. You could push people to buy supplements. So it's very agnostic what you do at the end of your patient attraction system, whether it's actually engaging into a phone consultation or by having them buy a course, having them join a group coaching program, whatever it is that you want to pitch. It also leads to a drastically lower ad cost because you're nurturing people on Facebook. You lead with value, and you're not making people go off Facebook to your website, opt in for a lead magnet, go to the thank you page, open the email, and then ultimately watch the video that you really want to watch them. You're essentially condensing this into a single interaction directly on Facebook, and people can virtually test drive whether they like what you have to say and if they want to take the next step with you. And as I said, Facebook video ads get approved much easier. You don't have to hassle with people saying, are you suffering from diabetes, or are you fatigued or forgetful? Those would never be approved as Facebook text ads, but once you move to Facebook video ads, Facebook approves these. And then finally, you have vastly more efficient discovery calls. For one, you weed out all the tire kickers that can't even afford a paid case review, but you also empower your team to handle discovery calls on your behalf. So it doesn't have to be the lead provider that is in the driver's seat that has to take all these calls, because you have this video, you have high energy videos, you overcome all the objections. The people that end up in the discovery calls, they're ready to go. You don't have to sell them on anything. They just say, okay, how do we get started? And so that's what makes it so efficient. Plus, if your time is worth $100 an hour and you can cut short your discovery calls by 15 minutes, that's that's $100 saved each and every call. So over time, this allows you to save a tremendous amount of money and time that you could better spend in other ways. So I know for a lot of you, this may sound really overwhelming, but as I said at the beginning, I really want you to appreciate the why and the who. It's not about the how, exactly how to implement it and what's the step-by-step, but it's really appreciating why this works, why it is critical for you to first establish why people are stuck before you can pitch your practice. And I hope you now understand why doing the old conventional way of marketing your practice, using SEO, using Google PPC ads, doing directory listing, is maybe not as effective as you need it to be. Obviously, unless you're a chiropractor, you're an acupuncturist, you're a Botox med spa place, then obviously that's perfectly fine. So, again, schedule a free practice marketing review. If you want to go deeper with this, we're happy to just provide our eyes on what you have in place, help you decide which gears you need to add in what order, what makes the best case business-wise to move your practice forward. Is it the practice introduction video? Should you be doing that first, or should you be doing first the video series? Should you, start with social media? So our team is here to make your journey a lot easier so that you can, make the best decision on what's right for you. Again, this is a no obligation strategy session that we're offering here, first come, first serve. We just want the ecosystem to better market our services so that, more patients get to know about you, more patients understand how you can help them, and so that ultimately you have much more impact and income in your community. So go to bigboost.marketing/CS. And with this, I'll open the floor for questions. Kaylee, I'm sure there were questions that came in during the presentation, so let's get into it.
A lot of the main questions I know are if there's an option to share these slides, or with the follow-up, or if it's something that they can just get more with your free kind of initial review meeting, one of those through the big.
No, the best next step is really going to bigboost.marketing/CS, and that's for the case study. So you get the slides and you get more in-depth analysis of examples from other practitioners. So I went pretty quickly through this. So again, you get to see all the slides that I talked about, and I'm sure we can upgrade this video to make sure that all the slides are present.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were talking about the video ads on Facebook, one of the questions that came through was, does your company create these videos and posts? They would love to do the promotion, but they just don't have the time to create all of the promos.
Yeah, no, I mean, what we found in working with practitioners, and that's our guiding philosophy, that Big Boost is really helping practitioner with whatever we can do. So when it comes to, let's say, social media, we have pre-written social media that you can adjust to your needs. So in the case of the 10 and 10 videos, our team will meet with you. We decide on what titles for the videos are most appropriate based on our experience. And then our team will interview practitioners to write the scripts for them so that all they have to do is shoot the video with their iPhone. And again, we guide practitioners through the whole process on how to do it. And then our team will post produce the videos, will put together the website, will generate the Facebook ads, run the Facebook ads, write the copy. So this is, as hands-off as we can make it. And again, the only thing that we can't do for you is shoot the video, right? You have to be on camera because you want to establish yourself as the authority in your community. And so everything else, we have a process for that our team can handle it, and that extends to everything else. So we have preloaded websites that are functional medicine ready. So it's not just helping you develop a website, but we have a website with 75 pages that has everything already preloaded, and all you have to do is go in, change the content in the website, and then it can be launched. And again, that helps every website to be uniquely yours, your colors, your logo, your images, etc. And so that's the guiding philosophy that what we do at Big Boost Marketing.
Perfect. That's awesome. So, what tips do you have to put your practice under one of the headers? Is it hard to funnel down to one specialty? For example, seeing patients with many disease states versus just females with hormone issues.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to sort of the idea of practice niching, and obviously, I would say think about, what is the bread and butter of your practice? What are you known for? So for instance, Tara Scott, she was a traditionally trained OBGYN, so it was very natural to go into women's health and hormones, and there's a very believable story why she's dealing with. Now, obviously, she's dealing with gut health and all the functional medicine things. So, she's obviously dealing with cognitive decline, she's dealing with gut health, she's dealing with hormones, but the entry gateway is always the hormones in her case. And so in your practices, maybe gut health, it may be cognitive decline, whatever your practice is known for. But then there's other practitioners like, let's say, Dr. Laura Sellier in rural Wisconsin, and she builds herself as a functional generalist. So she has a family practice, she's a DO, and then she just describes herself as a functional generalist, so people can come to her as a family practitioner, but then whatever she does goes through the lens of functional medicine. So she says, well, I'm a family practitioner, but I have a chronic disease specialty. So you can say, I just focus on chronic disease issues like, gut issues, hormones, or, weight or cardiometabolic. And then people understand, okay, the difference between that practitioner and my regular family practitioner is that the regular family practitioner is better at just acute, and you're doing acute plus chronic.
That's great. So I guess kind of going back again to the advertising on Facebook, one of our attendees said that they've been putting posts for about 6 days or so on Facebook, but they want some more information on how exactly advertising on Facebook works. I guess advertising versus post. I think you've kind of touched on it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see my screen right now with the gears.
Yep, patient attraction system.
Okay, so we're going back to that slide with the social post. So the difference is obviously once you have the so once you have the video, and again, it's very important to have the treatment like this because people are scrolling on Facebook and Instagram looking for cat and dog pictures. They're there to be entertained. And so for them to stop in their track and actually decide to watch your video, they're not looking at your video, they're not reading your post. What they're looking at is this headline, like 3 major obstacles to weight loss, or surprising ways to take control of stress and burnout, or the #1 thing to know about chronic pain, right? It has to really resonate with them in 0.2 seconds for people to decide, okay, let me check this out. And so then you can post these videos, or as the participant said, you can post organically on social media. the thing is that the reach that Facebook gives your post is very minimal. So let's say you post twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 posts, and you have 100 people following you, or you have 1,000 people following you. What happens is that people will most likely only see 1 or 2 posts out of the 14 over the entire week. They're not seeing the other 12 or 13. And so this is why it's so difficult to survive on organic social media alone. You have good intentions to put your stuff out there. And yes, if people come to your profile, then they can see all your posts, but it's not magically showing up in people's newsfeed. And so this is why you're still unknown, even though you post every day. And it's only once you go to Facebook ads that you finally get the frequency, that people see your posts every day, and that you go from, I don't know who this person is, to, I see you everywhere. And so when I appreciate that most practitioners are really hesitant about Facebook, with all the censorship aside, but spending money on Facebook has probably not been a pleasant experience so far because they didn't get the result. And the reason is that you didn't post the right content in the right format to get people to take action from there. And so it's no surprise to me that this doesn't work, right? So you have incomplete information how to do social media right in order to drive outcomes. And every practitioner that we work with that, finally adds Facebook ad spending on top of what they're doing organically, that's when they finally sort of rise to the top, that people in their community finally understand, wow, I see you everywhere, and the phone is ringing, the discovery call calendar gets filled.
Yeah, a good mix. I guess kind of the next question is along the same lines, and we talked about it a bit, but in those video ads, how often would you recommend we update the content? I guess it kind of is like frequency.
So in many ways, the way you can structure this is that only the people, let's say, that come to your website would get to see the video. So that would be one trigger. But you can say, okay, I'm just going to run this for a month, and then I shuttle to the next one. So if somebody's doing gut health and hormones, maybe they have a series around gut health and another one on hormones, and then you just alternate between the two. And it's very similar to how you may have run your workshop events prior to COVID. You had maybe an autoimmune workshop and you had a thyroid workshop, and you would alternate between the two. So you can do the same thing with your social media, that 1 month you're doing thyroid, the next one you're doing autoimmunity and stress or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, just looking at all the different series, ultimately it has to feed into your practice. So, Tara Scott, she's women's health and hormones. The video series has to be about hormones. If you're a gut specialist, the video series has to be about gut health. It should amplify your existing authority status around what you're known for. And so, only if you're known as a functional generalist, then I would say, okay, let's see what we can do, talking about maybe some of the emergency care, acute care, issues, and then reframing them in a functional medicine way.
That makes sense. So kind of leaning towards some websites and tools that you recommend. One of our attendees says that they have an online course in the making. They're wondering what the best websites or tools would be to host their course content, and also any instant webinars platforms that you'd suggest.
Yeah, good question. And back in April, we hosted a 4-hour bootcamp on how to launch, how to produce, plan, and launch your online course. So if you want to check this out, go to our website at bigboost.marketing. But the short answer is that we like LearnDash versus Teachable, Thinkific, Rizuku, Kajabi. If you're doing the math on a 2-year cost for a course, you'll find that the LearnDash option is going to be the cheapest. You can do as many courses as you want. You're not paying monthly or annual fees, and it integrates with WordPress. So we have actually a service where we add a fully loaded course to a practitioner's website, and then they can just switch the template course to whatever their course is, so they don't have to deal with the tech. They don't have to set up the pages. You just have to change the videos that are there for your videos. You have to change the heading to your heading. You have to change the sales page to your sales page, but everything is pre-built. And we're selling this for $497, so very affordable at this time to get an online course launched. Now, when it comes to instant webinars, we do this with $0 and zero technology. If you have a WordPress website, if you have a Weebly or Wix or Squarespace website, that's all you need. There's no extra cost because it's essentially what a lead magnet is. You have one page, that's the registration page with the opt-in form for your autoresponder, and then the next page is a replay page that has the video. And the video could be embedded on YouTube, it could be in Vimeo, but there's no special software, no ClickFunnels, no lead pages, no EverWebinar or what have you that you need to run an instant webinar. It's essentially 2 web pages connected with an opt-in form for your email autoresponder.
Nice, wow. Okay, so I think we just have like 2 more questions. You did answer one of the other questions too, was someone had asked about a very like specific topic, like they want to target more thyroid, Hashimoto patients with gut health issues, and then asked what kind of resources you have and how the company helps, but you just basically touched on that with all the specific resources and your costs and everything. So I did post in our little chat your Big Boost Marketing website for any more details. But in our follow-up, we can send that as well, like any links you'd like. One of the questions was, have you helped a practice that has multiple practitioners?
Yeah, we have worked with so-called collaboratives where it was a local community in a joint office space. There were chiropractors, NPs, NDs, acupuncturists, etc. And it's very similar. It's just a practice with multiple providers. And so there you have to really then think about, when it comes to a lead magnet or a 10-10, how do you properly explain this? And it could be that this entire collaborative with multiple practitioners joins together, and then they talk about all the chronic disease issues that they see. It could be different practitioners that be featured in those videos. So the video series serves to educate people on the difference between acute care or conventional medicine and functional integrative medicine, and then also introduces all the providers that are part of the center. And the call to action from this video series could be, again, sign up for a discovery call, and this would go into a centralized probably discovery call where they meet with a patient care coordinator that then figures out which practitioner is the most relevant to partner with them. And so in that sense, think of it just like a simple practice with one discovery call scheduler, a patient intake coordinator taking the calls, and then there's a decision made which provider they would be partnering with. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Again, all of these questions are amazing questions, and if you want to connect with our team to go over this, to talk about your practice situation, about your website, about your social media, about your lead magnets, whatever it is, anything from social media all the way to discovery call, talk to our team. We're doing hundreds of these free calls each and every year to help our community become the go-to experts and be seen as the experts. So take us up on that offer. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I know we could probably talk forever on this topic, and I do want to remind everyone attending that we will be sending this as a recording out to everyone. It'll live on our website as well, so you can go back and watch this as often as you'd like. I would love to continue talking, but I want to thank you for being here today, Uli, and very valuable information. I know I learned a lot as well. So I hope we can continue this conversation in the future, but for now, I guess we'll sign off, and we'll hopefully chat soon.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Fullscript for hosting me. Really my pleasure.
Yes, thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for attending, and have a great rest of the day.